Greetings everyone, and welcome back to our 5th Mega Blu-ray Collection video. I'm going to have about one more of these to do with regular type titles like these, and then I'm going to start moving into my box sets along with, we're going to do some Disney, we're going to do some DC, and we're going to do some Marvel as well. Also in the next video that I will do another giveaway for you. We'll skip it this time, but just focus on movies this time around. So let's get started, guys, with the first movie. This is Maverick. I haven't opened this version yet. I have seen the movie though, and I loved it. 7.5 out of 10. Richard Donner film. Mel Gibson, of course, with James Garner, and Jodie Foster is in this one. Really funny Western. If you get a chance to see it, you should. It's a great movie. I recommend it for just about anyone. It is that good. It's definitely worth seeing. It's a little bit older movie, but not dated. It's still cool. It's still a good one. Check it out, Maverick. Next is Minority Report. Now this one is a classic as far as I'm concerned when it comes to Spielberg. One of my favorite films by him. I loved Tom Cruise in this. The idea was awesome. You know, there's been so many great ideas out there for movies, and this was one of them that kind of pioneered a new idea that really worked, and it was kind of flew under the radar. It wasn't a huge Spielberg film like a lot of people knew about it, but definitely one worth seeing. I loved this movie. It was fantastic. I give this an 8 out of 10. Next one is Middlemen. This one is kind of one also that no one's heard about much, but it does have Luke Wilson and Giovanni Ribisi, which I really like. Giovanni, he's one of my faves for sure. But man, guys, this one was intense. It was not for a lot of people. Anybody who gets offended by sexual situations or the porn industry should not watch this, because this is pretty much what it's about. But it was very well acted, very well written, and had a really cool feel to it, almost like a mobster feel. But it, you know, focused around the porn industry a little bit, and calls when people. It's basically based on a true story, I believe, as well, or true events, where these two guys made up a company to accept credit cards for payments for phone sexual encounters type thing. So it was an interesting movie. Like I said, if you're offended easily, do not watch this one. It's not going to be one you can handle. But Middlemen was really fun. I liked it a lot. It was a 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Misery. This is based off of a Stephen King novel, of course, with Kathy Bates. I love Kathy Bates, and then James Caan, I'm not sure how you say that. But this one was really cool. It's a Rob Reiner film as well, I believe. And again, it was worth seeing. It's kind of I don't know how to explain it. I have read the book. It's a little bit different in some spots from the book, but still a very well adaptation for the most part. But definitely worth a watch. A little bit creepy, not too much, but more or less just kind of a thriller, I think was what I would call this one. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Mr. Holland's Opus, which is a little rare on Blu-ray. You don't find this often. I had to order it in specially, because it is one of my favorite movies with Richard Dreyfuss. And guys, this one was a heartfelt, you know, coming of age musically movie, and it was masterfully done, well acted, well flow. It had a little bit of everything: drama, comedy, you know, sadness. It had everything that you'd want to see from a good drama, and that's what this was, guys. It'll remind you of being back in school again, and maybe if you had a favorite music teacher back in the day when you were in high school. This really reminded me of that as well. And this one is a great movie, guys. This was an 8.5 out of 10. Next we have Mrs. Doubtfire with Robin Williams, of course. Sally Field was in this one. Kind of a trippy movie, very funny. I loved Robin Williams acting in this one. His costume was cool as well. You really took some talent to do this film, and Pierce Brosnan is also in this one. But this one came across as a keeper for comedy / kind of drama, I guess. Mostly comedy, but I would give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Next we have a rarity on Blu-ray as well. This one is Mystery Date. You don't see this very often. This is Ethan Hawke and Terry Polo. Terry Polo was in a movie I showed you earlier called Aspen Extreme. She was good in that one, but better in this one. And Ethan Hawke played a really cool, funny part. It's a kind of like a thriller / comedy. Thriller / comedy, I would call that. Maybe even a mystery a little bit too. But Really good movie, guys. I haven't even opened this copy yet, but this one is definitely worth seeing. I would give this a 7 out of 10. Next, we have Nanny McPhee. This is the first one and not the second one. I did not like the second one much, but the first one I did like quite a bit. It had that Lemony Snicket's slash Harry Potter feel going on, and it was really cool. And a little bit of Mary Poppins, obviously, as well. But really cool. Colin Firth's in this one, the guy who played in Kingsman. And the kids did a great job. Really cool special effects, really cool story. Just a great family kids movie. And I do recommend this one for anyone. It was awesome. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. Next, we have an older movie with Robert Redford, The Natural. Very good sports movie. A little bit slow, I guess, and draggy in some parts, but very well acted. And the screenplay was just really good. I liked it a lot. I would give this movie, it has Robert Duvall as well, sorry. I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. Next, we have The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson and one of my faves, Kevin Spacey. Mum's the word on that lately, right? So anyway, this one was great. It also has one of my other favorite actors, Paul Giamatti, as well in this one. So this one's worth a watch. It's high action, high stress type of movie, but smart. Also, it's a smart movie. It takes a little while to get off the ground, but once it gets off the ground, it soars and it's great. Lots of language in this movie, but other than that, it's definitely a good action movie if you don't mind some language. A little bit of violence as well, but this one was great. I would give this 7.5 out of 10. Next, we have The Notebook. This is a love story, and I don't collect love stories much, but this one was done really well, and I liked the narrative. I liked Ryan Gosling in this, which is strange for me because I'm not a big Ryan Gosling fan at all. Rachel McAdams was fine. James Garner was pretty cool. He wasn't in it a whole lot, but Gosling wasn't bad. He didn't bother me in this one, so I liked it. It was done well. It's kind of a, like a older teenager type of love story movie, but I would give this a 7 out of 10. It was really good. Also, next is our next movie with Cage. I love Cage. I love Biel, Jessica Biel, and Julianne Moore is great too. So they had a great lineup in this one for casting. This movie was really cool because it puts you in the mindset of Nicolas Cage, who can see into the future, and it kind of just goes on an adventure with him. Julianne Moore is an agent, police officer, I believe, looking for him, trying to figure him out and what he's going to do next when she doesn't, when he can see the future and she can't. So it's kind of a thriller, I would say, action thriller. It's good. It's really done well, and I loved it. I would give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I loved it. Next is Nightcrawler, and I just recently saw this, and wow, I was blown away. This movie is fantastic. Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't usually like him either, to be honest. I know I'm going to catch some flack in the comments, but when I saw this, it kind of opened a new light for him, in my opinion, because this movie was done really well, and he did a great job acting. Really cool, smart movie you haven't seen before. This one's kind of an original feeling movie. It has one of those storylines that you just haven't seen in cinema yet, and they've done it now, and it works, and it was done well. So I give Nightcrawler a 7.5 out of 10. Next, we're going to look at Ninja Assassin. This one is actually out of print now. This is the slipcover edition as well. So it's got a little extra sheen to it there in the light, as you can see. You can see the blood splatter and his little dagger there with his chain. Pretty cool. Gosh, this movie, guys, was bloody. Oh my gosh. Blood was just pouring out the screen when I was watching this thing. And I just think it was done so cool. I loved the ninja, over-the-top ninja, unbelievable fighting that they had in this movie, and wow, it blew me away. Really fun movie. If you don't mind violence, it's got plenty of that in it, so be ready for a bloodbath if you watch this movie, but also know that it was done well and had a lot of power, and it kept the audience. So I would give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Next, we have Norbit with Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy. It's funny they put his name there twice. Norbit is really funny and has a lot of sexual innuendos and things like that in it. It's rated PG-13, so I don't recommend letting small kids watch this. But for adults, it's hilarious. It was done really well. It was how can I put it? It was just one of those comedies with Eddie Murphy that you will remember because some of his comedies weren't that great. Meet Dave is one of them. 1,000 Words is another one. Not too great, but this one was one of the better ones, so I do recommend it. I would give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Next, we have Nutty Professor, which, again, Eddie Murphy stars in and is better than Norbit. I would probably give this a 7 out of 10. I really thought it was funny. I really liked his, his meek demeanor, I guess is what you'd call it, before he became Buddy Love. And yeah, Hercules, I quote this movie a lot of times with the fam, and some people get it, some people don't, but it really is memorable. And the second one's great too, but the first one is better, I think. So yeah, 7 out of 10. I don't have the second one on Blu-ray. I have it on DVD actually. So there you go. Great movie. Check it out. Next is Office Space. So this is a classic comedy. With flair. I love this movie. It was done by the guys who did Beavis and Butthead, but strayed from that type of humor as much. It did have some of that type of humor, but not a lot. It was just so funny. The stuff they came up with was so original in this movie, and just makes you want to watch it over and over, especially if you work in an office setting, which I do. So this one really I could relate with, and it cracked me up the entire time. It's a must watch for anybody that likes comedy whatsoever. I give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Next we have, yes I have it, Orgasmo, the Trey Parker film from of course, creators of South Park. This one is a little bit rare too. You don't see this one on Blu-ray often. This is an unrated version, so this one's pretty. It has a theatrical and an unrated version. This one's pretty risque, guys. I mean, obviously, with the name, the title, and what you're seeing on the cover here, pretty risque stuff. But and actually, it got the NC-17 rating right there, as you can see. I don't really feel like it deserved an NC-17. I think that maybe with the constant dialogue being about sexual things, then yes, it kind of got it, but I've seen R-rated movies worse than this one, so I don't know. Not quite on board with that NC-17. And then the unrated version's not much different. So, guys, this is really funny. If you're not offended by sexual things, it does delve into religious things a little as well. But if you're not offended by those types of things and you just like crass, funny, rude humor, this is a great one to check out. Yeah, when I always have a running, joke with my buddies. When a guitar plays in a certain key, I say, "I'm Sancho," and you'll get it when you watch this movie, guys. You got to check it out. This one is a 7 out of 10. I liked it a lot. And then we have Patch Adams, based on a true story, of course. This one is a import. I don't believe they ever released Patch Adams in the States, so I had to special order this one in. And this one is done very well. Robin Williams plays the part of Patch extremely well, and I mean, there's not much more to say other than it's just a great, medical drama, and does have some comedy as well. It's a must-see, I believe, for anyone. I loved it. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. Next, we have The Patriot with Mel Gibson. This is the extended cut. The Patriot's one of those movies that's rated R for a couple scenes only. For the most part, this is a wonderfully done period movie, and it's well acted and intense, and just... it's like a war/love story. It's kind of what this is. It was just done so well. The acting was great. Heath Ledger's in this one. Rest in peace, buddy. So yeah, guys, check it out. The Patriot, if you haven't seen it yet, it's definitely worth watching. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10 as well. Next is Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck and Josh, I can't remember his name, Josh something. Yeah, good stuff. It was cool. It was a good movie. I didn't love it. It is a Michael Bay film. I didn't love it, but I did like it, and I do recommend it. I guess it was done pretty well. I like the cinematography a lot in it. So I'd give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Next we have Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Oh man, that's a classic comedy right here. This one I couldn't watch enough of. I could watch this over and over and over and still love it every time. It's just a classic. They didn't release Big Top Pee-wee on Blu-ray. They had it on DVD, I believe, but not on Blu-ray, so I don't have that one, unfortunately. But it's not as good as this one anyway. This is where it's at. Pee-wee's Big Adventure will always remain a classic in the comedy field. I do recommend it for just about anyone. It's really good. Has some really interesting parts in it and just unique. It's the most unique movie I've seen in the 80s, and I highly recommend this one. I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. Next we have A Perfect World with Kevin Costner, and Clint Eastwood is the one who directed this one, and he's also starring in this. This is kind of one of the movies that not a lot of people have seen. But it is definitely worth seeing, and it was just really well acted. Let me think, what else about this movie? It does talk about a certain religion in this movie, which is interesting because I grew up that way myself for a while, but it's not entirely accurate from what I've seen in here. Not entirely accurate. It is somewhat, but it definitely has some things that they maybe could have looked at a little closer and gotten the real details on from this certain religion that they talk about. But anyway, so Cool movie, guys. This one was really good. I definitely recommend it for most people. It's a 7 out of 10. Next, we have Stephen King's Pet Sematary. Of course, this is the original Pet Sematary movie. I don't like the new one. I did watch it. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I just couldn't do it. This one, though, was awesome. I love the way it was. It's a horror movie done right. The actor that played Gage was really good. I love that kid. He's really good. He's been in Nightmare on Elm Street, or the New Nightmare as well, and he was great in that one too. And I think he was in the New Omen too. I don't remember, but really good. Excellent movie, guys. Excellent adaptation of the book as well. For the most part, there are some changes, but it's really good. This one is a 7 out of 10. Next, we have Pacific Rim, and I don't own the second one because I think the second one is complete garbage, but this one is actually really good. I would give this a 7 out of 10. And again, if you like, high action robot movies like Real Steel or anything like that at all, even RoboCop, you would probably like this movie. It was done pretty well. There was a couple cheesy parts, but for the most part, it was done really well. And I do recommend it for action seekers. Next, we have the first of three. This is Pitch Perfect. I have this movie because I used to be an a cappella in high school, and so obviously I had a boy-girl a cappella group, but this is an all-girl a cappella group, which is really cool, and it kind of brought back a little bit of memories. Not quite a lot, because this is basically a comedy that's just kind of out there, but it's a fun show. I liked it. This first one's really good. I would give this one 6.5 out of 10. Okay, guys, just to clarify, I wanted to just let you know, if you don't happen to see a movie in my collection, it's either because I haven't bought it because I don't like it, or it's just that it hasn't come across my radar yet. I do a lot of pawn shop hopping, and so I get most of these from pawn shops, but I have bought some of them brand new or used, through eBay or Amazon, different sites like that. Just want to let you know where I get my movies. That's pretty much it. I do really primarily focus in on pawn shops. I used to work at a few, so I have some friends that hook me up with some stuff. So it's really cool that you get to go out and actually find 1080p movies for a little bit of nothing nowadays. So go check out your local pawn shops, and you'll find some pretty good titles, I think, out there if you just give it some time. So next is next movie we're talking about is Pitch Perfect 2. This is the sequel to the last we just discussed. It's good. I liked it. I don't know. I don't think I liked it better than the first one, but it was funny. Again, it just kind of reminds me of being in Choir myself a little bit, but it's kind of a semi-raunchy comedy revolving around this group of girls that is trying out for the a cappella trials and everything, and it's pretty fun. It's definitely got some good funny parts in it, but not a movie I love. So I'd give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Next, we have Pitch Perfect 3. This one kind of gravitated toward drama a bit, along with the comedy. There was a couple spots where it kind of tried to take itself more seriously than it should have been, I think. But as a whole, it was a pretty good movie still, pretty entertaining. I do have the slipcover version, as you can see here. Last call pitches. So, yeah, pretty funny. It wasn't great. It's like a 6.5 out of 10 maybe as well. Next is The Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I do have the slipcover version of that. And I do like this first one quite a bit because it feels like an origin story to me, and I love origin stories. So this one was really cool. I liked Caesar. I liked the whole, the banter between those two in this movie. Definitely worth a see. This is probably the best of the three. I would give this one a 7 out of 10. The next one is The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and it was cool too. It was. I would probably give it about a 6.5 out of 10. This one had a lot more action in it. So if you like more of an action movie, this is probably the one of the three that you would want to see the most. Like I said, 6.5 out of 10 on that one. War for the Planet of the Apes was kind of more of the drama-based one. It did have some war as well, but mostly drama-based. Was okay. It was probably my least favorite, to be honest with you. Woody Harrelson actually played in this one, but I would probably give this one a 6 out of 10. Next, we have Pleasantville, and this one's a little rare to find, and it's a very unique movie. It's one of those unique movies that was done right. That's why I own it. Has Tobey Maguire, Reese Witherspoon, William H. Macy, and Jeff Daniels is in this too. Some of the notable actors and actresses. So, yeah, great movie. It's so unique, like I said, and has a really cool feel to it. It feels like it may have been done before a little bit, but at the same time, this one feels like it's the pioneer. So that's why I liked it so much. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. It was really good. Next, we have a triple set here with Swordfish, Point Break, and Executive Decision. I mostly bought this for these two movies. Swordfish is okay. It's not great. I'd probably give it maybe a 5.5 out of 6, or out of 10, I'm sorry, out of 6. That'd be a great score if it was 5.5. So Point Break is also a great movie. That's one of the reasons I got it. Keanu Reeves in one of his entry-level roles for, an action film, and Patrick Swayze, R.I.P. as well for him. But wow, guys, Point Break was high energy, just an intense movie, a very intense movie. So check it out. It's worth seeing. 7.5 on Point Break. On Executive Decision, it was really, really smart, thrilling, had a lot of suspense, really great movie as well. Had Steven Seagal in it for a little while. Just really well done. I would give that a 7.5 as well. I loved both movies. Again, Swordfish is one of my least favorites here, but this is worth a pickup if you happen to find, because it has two great movies on it. Another little side point I'll mention, Executive Decision's rated R, but it's really not bad. It's by today's standards, I would say it could get a PG-13 without much issue at all. So check that out. It's still not quite a family movie, but it's PG-13. That's how I see this one. All right, next is Poltergeist. This is the first Poltergeist, the only Poltergeist as far as I'm concerned. No, there's the other ones are okay, but this one's great. It's a Steven Spielberg film, of course. We all know that Steven Spielberg makes some great films. Poltergeist was one of the best, scary thriller type horror movies I've seen in a long time. Back in the 80s, it was probably my favorite one, but now it still holds up fairly well as being a pretty creepy movie. It does have a little bit of humor in it in some spots too, but just a timeless movie, a classic one for the ages. I love Poltergeist. I would give that an 8 out of 10. Next, we have Poltergeist 2 and 3 in a little set here. Poltergeist 2, I wasn't a huge fan of. I'd probably give that a 6 out of 10 at the most. About a 6 out of 10 is what that will get. Poltergeist 3, however, was pretty fun. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It was cool because they interjected the mirrors into the movie, which kind of gave it another level of creepiness to me. I thought it was actually a little bit scary, not too much. It was definitely cheesy in a couple spots, but definitely worth seeing, definitely worth your time. 2, they tried to kind of do the same thing with 1 all over again, but it just kind of fell on its face. So not a huge fan of part 2. Next is Primal Fear with Edward Norton and Richard Gere. And this was kind of a movie that catches me by surprise every time I see it. There's a twist in it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, obviously, but it was a really well acted movie. That Edward Norton just came out of the gates punching with this one. He was just ready to go and really proved his worth as an actor. He was pretty young in this one, but definitely worth seeing if you guys haven't seen Primal Fear. It is a 7 out of 10. Next we have The Princess Bride. It's a really cool little cover. If we look at it this way, you can see that it says Princess Bride. And if we turn it over, it says Princess Bride. So that's a pretty cool little feature about this movie. I really dig it. And definitely, this is a timeless classic. Everybody knows Princess Bride. Andre the Giant is in this, for God's sake. So you got to see it. It's a cool movie, family movie. It's really done well. There's only a couple parts of torturous scenes that are a little bit, I guess, intense for some viewers. But otherwise, it's a fantastic movie. I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. Next is The Prestige. I love Christopher Nolan movies, and this one is one of his better ones, of course, with Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson, and Christian Bale. And guys, I don't want to tell you much about this. This is a long, dark, like drama / magical mystery. That's what this is. So if you like those types of films, you'll love this one. It has good dialogue, but it kind of is slow. You have to stick with it, but if you stick with it, you'll really appreciate it in the end. I give this a 7 out of 10. Next, we have Problem Child. This is the original Problem Child with John Ritter. Kind of a rare one to find. A really funny movie. This first one's great. I loved it. Really, built up the narrative for this kid in the beginning and kind of made you identify with him a little bit. And it was a lot of fun to watch, guys. This is an older movie from the 80s, but it's definitely worth seeing. It's kind of cheesy in a couple parts, but definitely worth seeing. Like I said, I give Problem Child a 7.5 out of 10. We have Problem Child 2, which I would probably give a 7 to still, because it was really funny and really cool. But they went a little over the top in this one. It wasn't as good as the first, but it was still funny and still, one of those comedies that you watch that you probably wouldn't forget if you're from the 80s. So great one there. Check it out. Pulp Fiction, another Tarantino movie here. I pretty much own all the Tarantino films I really like, and this is one of them. Really unique movie, a unique take on everything revolving around gangsters, drugs, the whole everything. So wow, guys, acting was superb in this one. Probably the most F words I've ever heard in a movie, next to The Wolf of Wall Street. So this is probably like the second place for F words. So if those offend you, do not watch this ever. Otherwise, appreciate it for what it is, which was a part of cinema that really shone and stuck out from the rest. Oh, by the way, Pulp Fiction gets an 8 out of 10. Next we have The Pursuit of Happiness, a Will Smith movie that I loved about, inspired by a true story of a traveling salesman who's just down on his luck, basically. And Will Smith played the part fantastically. He did great for drama in this one. This one was not a comedy at all. So really good drama, really done well, a fantastic movie through and through, 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Ray with Jamie Foxx. Yeah, this one kind of came out of nowhere. It was cool for its time. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I did like it. It was cool. A little bit, I don't know what's the word. I don't know if it made Ray look like somebody that you would want to admire in the musical industry. It kind of actually did the opposite. But at the same time, it still had really good acting and for the most part, a pretty well done musical origin for Ray. So check that one out, guys, if you get a chance. This, of course, is the slipcover edition. You can open that up and check that out, but that's what it'll look like on the inside if you ever happen to get this edition. This one actually is brand new. I haven't even opened it, but yeah, pretty cool, guys. Check it out. I found this in town, here in my town, and I picked it up for about $5, so can't complain on that one. Next is Ready Player One, and this one is a Spielberg film that I will never forget. This Spielberg film is probably in my top 2 or 3 favorite movies by him of all time. I loved it. I'm a gamer myself, so I could relate with this one. I really related to this, and I mean, come on. I mean, check this out. I got to show you something. I mean, yeah, that's me. I mean, that's totally me. Yes, I have an Oculus Quest right here. Check it out. So my Oculus Quest is, I'm actually wanting to do some reviewing on that later too, but I haven't got around to it. So maybe one of these days I'll throw up a video on my Oculus and talk about the games and stuff. Anyway, Ready Player One, guys, was a monument in filmmaking. Special effects were amazing. Story was amazing. Acting was great. The villain was chosen well. It was the guy from Star Wars Rogue One. Can't think of his name now, but it was Krennic, the guy who played Krennic. Anyway, he's the bad guy in this one, and it was great. They cast this one really well. Great movie all around, guys. This one gets a 9.5 out of 10. It was near perfect for me. Next, we have Raising Arizona with Nicolas Cage, an old one. This was, done back in the 80s, and fantastic, really well thought out movie. And I can't say anything bad about it. It was a lot of fun. Maybe a little bit slow, and I guess in a couple spots, and a little bit strange. It's a Coen Brothers movie, so if you like Coen Brothers movies, you'll probably like this one. But definitely worth seeing. The narrative's cool in it. Nicolas Cage is cool in it. I just really liked it. It's a cool movie, guys. So this one gets a 7 out of 10. Next we have Rain Man with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. This is a classic, of course. It did win the Best Picture in '88. Obviously someone out there thought it was good, and I did too. I thought it was really good. Good drama, has some humor, mostly just drama though, and again, done really well. Acting was great. If you haven't seen it, you probably should. It is based loosely on a gentleman that really did exist, and they called him the Rain Man, I believe. So check it out, guys. This one is a 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Rounders with Matt Damon and Edward Norton. I loved this movie. This was like a gangster card movie, and so I couldn't ask for anything better. This was a lot of fun, a lot of great acting. It also has John Malkovich in it, and his acting, John Malkovich's acting, I think is the best, and that's why you get this movie, to watch him act. And he's the part of the movie you want to see come around again. KGB, man. KGB was working it in this one. So check it out if you haven't seen Rounders. It's a great one. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. Next we have Real Steel with Hugh Jackman. I did talk about this one earlier. If you love robot type movies, you'll love this one. It was really well done. A fantastic movie all around. I don't see it often on Blu-ray, so I don't even remember where I got this copy. I think I ordered it. But like I said, this movie was fabulous. It had a lot of cool characters, a lot of cool robots in it, and it almost felt like a video game in some spots, but it had a lot of great drama, a lot of great action. Fantastic movie. I give this an 8 out of 10. Next we have Road to Bali. This one goes back a ways, doesn't it? So they have other Road to movies, but the Road to Bali is my favorite one. That's why I got it, with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and Dorothy Lamour up here. So guys, I own this because, and it's rare, you don't see this often. I own this. It's a black and white movie, and it does have color as well. But I own this because when I was a kid, I saw this and I watched it countless times because it was so funny. I mean, even the humor back then, when this came out in 1952, was really, really funny. And I think if you haven't seen this one, even nowadays, you would get a good chuckle out of it. You kind of have to know about the era a little bit because the jokes revolve around that era. But this one is definitely worth a watch. Very funny. I give this one a 8 out of 10. It was that good, guys. Really, really funny. Next, we have The Rock with Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, of course, and Ed Harris. It is a Jerry Bruckheimer movie. High action. You know, when you see Bruckheimer, you know there's going to be a lot of action, and there was. This was a really cool movie. I don't know if I liked it better than Con Air, but I thought it was right up there, close to it. In some ways, I like it better. In some ways, I don't. So it's a tough call on that one. But this one was great, guys. It's worth seeing. Great action. That's pretty much all I can say about it. But I give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Next, we have Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner, Christian Slater, Morgan Freeman, and I can't remember dude's name, but I think he passed away recently. He was in Harry Potter. He was also in Dogma. So cool, cool movie, I guess. It's a better Robin Hood movie than I thought it would be. I'm not a huge Robin Hood fan when it comes to the actors in Robin Hood. I love the Disney version, but I didn't really see a Robin Hood movie I liked other than this one a whole lot. So this one gets a 6 out of 10. It was good, but I didn't love it. And we'll get into our next stack next. Okay, moving right along into stack number 3, we have Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion. Wow, this one this one looked like a chick flick, and it was a chick flick. I gotta be honest. Yes, I own this movie. But you know what? If you've never seen it, don't knock it till you try it, because this one is actually pretty funny. Kind of doesn't quite have every ingredient for a chick flick, I would say, but it definitely has some. So going into it, be ready for that. But still, at the same time, going into it, realize that it was done well and it was a funny comedy. And it's just kind of one of those airheaded comedies that you want to check out and see every now and then. I give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Next, we have Roger Rabbit, classic movie by Steven Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis. Wow, Roger Rabbit. There's nothing I can say bad about this movie. This one was a nostalgic piece of history, I think, for a lot of people. And like I said, it was kind of ahead of its time. Even it was that good. It was what's his name? Christopher Lloyd, I believe, was the bad guy in this one, and yeah, really, really, really fun movie, guys. If you haven't seen Roger Rabbit, you are missing out. This one is definitely a must-see. I would give this an 8 out of 10. Next, we have Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston, both in this one. This is a cheesy story about an artist, and it's very loosely based on another gentleman, I believe, but very loosely based. I wouldn't say this is a true story or even inspired by true events necessarily, other than maybe a couple main events of the story, but nothing too crazy. So really cool. It was cheesy, like I said, but the acting was cool. It was just cheesy, like hard rock 80s style acting, and it's worth a watch if you like that type of thing. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but I would give this one a 6 out of 10. Next, we have an upside down movie. That's what we have. Robin Hood, Men in Tights. And to be honest with you, next to the cartoon Robin Hood, I think this is probably my next favorite one. Hilarious, guys. Mel Brooks is just on his game with this one. The Sheriff of Rottingham. Really, yeah, you can't go wrong. It's great, guys. It's worth a see. It actually makes fun of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, I think, mostly. So if you've seen that movie, watch this one and you'll see the references, and it's great. A lot of fun here, 7 out of 10. Moving on to our next movie here, we're going to look at The Sandlot. And this was a great coming-of-age movie. It was a good drama with all these kids. They did a great job acting in it. It's a classic, I don't love it, but it was a classic movie. You can tell that it took some time and some effort to get that acting from the children and to make it feel as real as it did. So, good movie, guys. I would give this one probably a 6 out of 10. Next, we have Saving Private Ryan. This is the Sapphire series. And, of course, Steven Spielberg, again, has a masterpiece in front of us here. And if you haven't seen this, it's a must-see. It's winner of 5 Academy Awards. You can't argue with that. I mean, there's good things, a lot of good things about this movie. Very well shot with the scenes and choreographed. I love the choreographed spots that they did with the real-time war scenes in the cities and out in the fields. Really, really well done, guys. Definitely worth watching. A little bit brutal, so get ready for that in a couple spots. But it's rated R. It's an R-rated war movie. What do you expect? So Saving Private Ryan gets an 8.5 out of 10. Next, we're going to look at a movie called Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. Yep, that's right. Scarface right here. Al Pacino is just working it in this one. The world is not enough. You know, that's kind of how I think of this movie when I think about it. But Michelle Pfeiffer is also in this one. She was pretty young. And really cool, cool gangster movie. Just, you know, intense and hardcore. If you like gangster movies back from the 80s, you'll probably dig this one a lot. I give Scarface a 7 out of 10. It was really fun. Next we have Schindler's List, which you're probably going to shoot me over, but I just watched this recently. I haven't opened this one, it's brand new, but this is the 20th anniversary edition. Very long movie, 3 hours plus, I think. But it got the Best Picture, Academy Award for Best Picture, so, you know, and it was a Steven Spielberg film. I had to watch it because it's Spielberg. So I watched it. It was really cool. There was parts of this movie that didn't feel like it should be R at all. And then there were other parts that you could totally see why they rated it R for. So not through the whole thing. It's a pretty, there's a couple spots where it's pretty tame, but then there's a couple spots where it's pretty brutal. So plus there's a few sexual things and some scenes of nudity when they're marching through the camps. But as a whole, this movie was done really, really well. And I like the fact that it was in black and white the whole time. That kind of added that Holocaust feel, I think, to it. So it was really done well. Good movie. I would give this one a 7 out of 10. Next we have Scream 1. This was with Drew Barrymore, of course. Gosh, I can't think of this guy's name, but he did a good job. Neve Campbell in this one, of course. Courtney Cox. It's a Wes Craven film, the guy who brought you Nightmare on Elm Street. So right away I was interested when it came out, and the first one's fantastic. It's really well done. The best of the series for sure. Definitely worth a see if you haven't seen this one. Good, you know, thriller / horror movie. Has a little tiny bit of comedy, but not much, and it's worth seeing. But yeah, intense in a couple spots. It has a good twist in it. So Scream is a great movie. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Sorry everyone, my camera ran out of memory. Let's go ahead and move on to Scream 2. This one wasn't as good as the first one, but also a Wes Craven film. And if you like the first one, you'll probably like this one as well. It was cool. It was had a good twist in it as well. So it kind of got you, it made you think the whole time of who done it type of thing. Thriller movie, of course, definitely worth a see. I would give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Next we have Shallow Hal with Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow. This one kind of put Gwyneth Paltrow on my map, but also Jack Black was great in this one too. This was kind of a semi-raunchy comedy. It wasn't too bad, but it had a couple spots, a little bit risque, but not bad, guys, and it was funny. Definitely worth a see. I would give this one a 6.5 out of 10 as well. Next we have a 2-film collection of some amazing films, The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. I bought this because both films on it are just stellar. Shawshank Redemption, I'm going to give that a perfect 10 out of 10. I loved the movie all the way through. It was great, well done, smart, and I believe it was based on a true story as well. I know it's based on a Stephen King book, I believe, but it seems like there was some truth to that in some way. And man, tell me about it in the comments, because I don't even know, to be honest, for sure. But I think it had something to do with a true story. Next is The Green Mile, which was not based on facts, but was still an excellent movie. I give The Green Mile an 8.5 out of 10. Guys, these are both movies that are keepers. You've got to own both of these in your collection. If you don't, then you're missing out for sure on these. But let's go on to the next one. This is Short Circuit from the 80s. This is a classic film. It has some comedy, has a little bit of everything, comedy, action, drama, has a little bit of everything. So it's great. Steve Guttenberg was in this one, and the little Indian guy, I can't remember his name, but he was really funny in this movie, guys. So check this out. This is a great family film. Just a great film all around. I really liked it. Done really well. Just one of the classic quintessential movies of the 80s for sure. Then they made a sequel called Short Circuit 2, of course. Yeah, not quite as good, but still not too bad. It could have been worse. A lot of sequels in the 80s didn't quite cut it. There's that guy, by the way, and I don't know his name, but he was hilarious in both these movies. The fact that Steve Guttenberg wasn't in this one as much kind of upset me a bit. It could have been a better movie, I think, if they would have brought the whole crew back, but they didn't. They kept in the guy that was funny, which was a good choice, I guess, if they didn't have the budget to pay Steve Guttenberg. I don't know what it was, but he wasn't quite really in this movie much. But it was good. It was still worth a watch at about a 6.5. I did like it. Showgirls. This one is kind of one of my guilty pleasures. It's by Paul Verhoeven, who brought us Starship Troopers, Hollow Man, and of course the 80s triumph RoboCop. So great director. I thought it was going to be a chick flick, and it kind of is, but then when you watch it, you realize it's a guy movie. I mean, there's just so much skin that they show in this one, so it kind of is a guy movie, I'd say, on this one. It was good. I think it was better than I thought it would be. It did get an NC-17 rating, I believe. Yeah, there it is right there. I guess I can see that. There's a lot of nudity through the whole thing. There's some sexual situations. They're just talking about sex like most of the time. It's a hair bit cheesy in some spots, but it's kind of the Paul Verhoeven style of cheesy, so it's not too bad. I think this was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of long, but it was good. One of those movies, like I said, is a guilty pleasure for most guys, I think. I would give this one a 7 out of 10. Next, we have Silence of the Lambs. This one is, of course, a classic thriller slash drama slash kind of psychopathic type movie. But obviously, if you haven't seen Silence of the Lambs, you've probably been living under a rock or a lamb. But good movie, guys. It's definitely worth seeing. It was done well. The acting was pretty amazing in it. Jodie Foster did a great job. Anthony Hopkins did a great job. I mean, that's kind of where Anthony Hopkins kind of stood out to me when I saw this movies, and then I started watching other movies with him, and it was great. I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. We have Simpsons movie, which was really great. It was really funny. I like, to be honest with you, I'll be completely honest and say that I think the episodes of The Simpsons are better than the movie, but I think that the movie, was a little bit daring, and it was good still. So I would give this one a 6 out of 10. Next is Sin City, one of my favorite Robert Rodriguez, Frank Miller adaptations that I really, really liked. All-star cast in this one. We got Bruce Willis, we got Jessica Alba, we got Clive Barker. We've got, I can't remember his name. Let me look at the back here real quick. We got, what's her name? The girl who died, rest in peace. That's Brittany Murphy. Guy who played Hellboy. I can't remember his name either, but dang it. There's some huge names in this movie. And the acting was superb. It's one of those unique comic book style movies that you'd never seen before till it came out. They tried to make some renditions of it called Shoot 'Em Up, I think, with Clive Barker in it as well. Wasn't into Shoot 'Em Up as much, but Sin City was classic. This is the extended recut version, has unrated versions and everything, and both versions are great. The R-rated version or the extended cut version. They're just high stylized action, hardcore, brutal movies, but they, like I said, they leave an imprint on you. You will not soon forget Sin City. This one stands out amongst the rest for sure. I would give Sin City a 9 out of 10. It was fabulous. The sequel, however, wasn't quite as good. This is A Dame to Kill For. I have the slipcover version of this one, but took out some of the actors from before, but actually added in a couple new ones. Still Robert Rodriguez. Still a good movie. I mean, it was fun. It was still a good watch, but I just wasn't into it as much as the first one. Mickey Rourke, that was the other guy who played Hellboy, Mickey Rourke, and then Josh Brolin was another one that was in here. Rosario Dawson, who's going to be playing, what was her name, in the Star Wars movie, Ahsoka. She's going to be Ahsoka very soon, but she was in this as well. So guys, it's cool to see the actors there, and they did a good job of what they were supposed to do, but I just didn't like this one as much. I would give this one probably a 6.5 out of 10. Next we have Sister Act 1 and Sister Act 2 with Whoopi Goldberg. These are older classic, pretty much family movies for the most part. The first one's kind of a little bit risque, but the second one is pretty much family friendly. I like the first one better. That's usually how it rolls with me, but Sister Act 1 and 2 are both funny. They're both good movies. I love Sigourney Weaver. Whoopi Goldberg. She's been always good, in most movies that I've seen her in, and in this one she's good too. I give Sister Act 1 a 6.5 out of 10. Sister Act 2 probably a 6 out of 10. Both decent movies. Next we're going to look at another one called The Skulls, and this one's a little bit rare. Paul Walker was in this, rest in peace as well, poor guy, in that accident and all. That was horrible, guys, right? Joshua Jackson's also in this one. He was kind of not quite as big as an actor as Paul Walker, but still did an excellent job, and he was actually the main focus in this one. So I loved it. I thought it was really cool, really unique thriller, and done well with every way. It was really good. Don't ever watch the sequels. There are sequels. They were horrible. This is the one to see. This is the one that stood out the most. So I would give Skulls a 7 out of 10. Next we have Slumdog Millionaire. And Slumdog Millionaire is the type of movie, it's by Danny Boyle, so it's kind of a slow moving movie. However, it does have a cool story and cool idea as well, to make a movie about. So it was entertaining. I'll give it that. I didn't love it, but it was entertaining, and I do recommend it for most people that like stories about real events type of thing. So it was decent. 6.5 out of 10 on that one. We have So I Married an Axe Murderer, a great comedy with Mike Myers. A little bit of strange comedy, but some really good stuff in there. Like a thriller / comedy, and it was great, guys. Even a mystery a little bit too, I guess. This was great. I think that this is one of the funnier movies I saw with Michael Myers. I really appreciated the humor in this one. It was over the top in a couple spots and made you laugh out loud. So I'd give this one a 7 out of 10. And next, last but not least, we have Spaceballs, the 25th anniversary edition, the best rendition of comedy spoof of Star Wars I've ever seen. Will always remain probably in my top spoof movies of all time. And I quote this one all the time, and it's so funny. This one was rated PG, I believe. Yeah, it was rated PG. However, I believe that they changed it to PG-13 later, or something to that effect. Because and in my opinion, it did deserve a PG-13. It was a bit risque. It does drop the F-bomb once or twice, I think, in it. And it was just, not for little kids. But PG-13 is a good rating for this one. Fantastic movie, guys. Stellar comedy, stellar everything. This is Mel Brooks. I mean, he nails it. He knocks it out of the park. This was my favorite movie by Mel Brooks, and I give Spaceballs a 9 out of 10. And that does it for our movies for this time around. On our next video, we will do a giveaway again for you. So stay tuned for that one. But I kind of wanted to just go over movies only this time. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I hope you all get to see my next video as well. Thank you again for watching. Hit that sub if you like my videos, and peace out.